Okay, here we go. Our poofy cut for our poofy perm. So I'll start off in the sides, coming at a diagonal section. Now this section, as I cut it, I will elevate, which will give me graduation. I will over direct forward, which will also give me graduation. And the angle of my fingers is the third form of graduation that I'm cutting through the side area. So once you nail your guideline, comb it out again. Just clean it up one more time just to make sure it's nice and polished. So next, diagonal section, I'll increase my elevation. I have to maintain the same exact over direction as the original section. So here, combing the hair out and up. Now, since I permed her hair quite tight and I want a softer feel for the haircut, throughout most of this cut, I'll be using the wide side of my 107 because using that wide side of the 107 will give me a softer overall feel. So my comb selection adapts to the overall intention that I want with the haircut. So next, curve section. Again, I increase my elevation. And as I'm cutting the right side, I encourage you to stand like right about the shoulder area, because at that point, it's the easiest way for you to get your fingers in there properly. You don't want to go into this haircut dropping your elbows. I want my elbows, fingers, section, scissors all parallel. So notice my body position is again right behind that shoulder. I drop my body in and it gives me a stronger angle because this transition point where the hair goes from like being more flat, two-dimensional through the sides, and I get a lot more curvature at the bend of the head. This body position and elbow position helps me to take into accommodation the contours much better. Assessments. Next, curve section. Again, I'll be increasing my elevation. I'll be over directing the hair forward to the same point and still cutting on my guideline. So my internal length grows progressively longer. I'm building length, I'm building weight via graduation. Comb the hair to natural fall. I'm just combing back out just to polish any weight that I've been building. Okay, this next section is approached in the same manner. Remember, increase the elevation, maintain the exact same amount of over direction that the guideline was cut at. This can be challenging. Just keep in mind the original over direction angle, and that can help a lot. So like for the first section, I over directed about 20 degrees. So then I know with every section after, I can comb it out straight and then over direct forward 20 degrees. So using that math will help me keep my elevation and over direction consistent throughout the haircut, especially when you're working with textured hair. If the shape's different, it's really obvious. So you don't want to do one side that's really flat because it was cut differently, and another side really geometric because it was cut with more geometry. Okay, so now to the back, we'll be working with round graduation. I'll comb out a curved section. I'll take my guideline from the side. As I comb the hair out, I'll make my 107 comb mimic the angle that I intend to cut, and I line up the front angle with my comb, and then I push the hair still forward, and I'm cutting in my graduated shape that goes from shorter in the back to longer through the front. Here it's essential that your fingers are high and your elbows are aiming towards that opposite shoulder. Do not drop your elbows or you'll probably go concave and you'll throw this whole shape off. Okay, next section, I'll elevate slightly higher, have my comb set in the angle I intend to cut, fingers follow comb, Fingers high, elbows down, elbows aiming towards the opposite shoulder. And as I work this section, my body pivots backwards and to the left. So I'm actually moving with this section. You'll find that if you stand your ground and stand on the same spot throughout the back, you will be throwing off your haircut because your over direction will be, chances are your over direction will be terribly off. And that's mainly because of your body position. So move with the haircut, because you also, if you want a fluid shape, you yourself have to be fluid throughout the haircut. Always work in small, manageable sections, consistent elevation, over direction. And to this cut, for her perm, below the crown area, I use really small, tight rods. And then through the top, I use bigger size rods. The reason I went in with that type of texture, because my graduation, I'll be cutting from short to long, so it'll give me a tremendous amount of structural support. In addition to the perm fitting the intention for the cut, these two mechanics put together will make the end result that much more tremendous. So here I'm working the right side all the way into the left. I'm not stopping at the midpoint. Again, because I want my shape to be stronger. So as I cut the left side in the back, I'll start intermixing sections, so they'll start crisscrossing. And every time those sections crisscross, I build my structural integrity. I'm building weight, I'm building a corner, so it'll make my shape that much stronger and powerful. I have a lot more lift, I'll have much more movement. So I'll work it into the opposite side. I don't stop at the center point of the head. Okay, and still increasing elevation with each section. For this technique, since I'm going in with graduation, the amount of elevation, you just don't want to go over 90. Actually, if you're having a challenge working with round graduation or any type of graduation, one thing you can do to assist you is like calculate at your very last section the point of elevation, the highest point of elevation. And then from there you can go and count like, okay, I need 5 sections to reach that high point. And then you can do math. You can divide the high point by sections, and then the math will tell you exactly per section what your elevation needs to be at. Okay, so our back right is almost there. Another section. Now here I'm cutting on the outside of my fingers. It's just because it's easier for me to control that graduation with that intensity of elevation. Okay, now for the opposite side, still working with diagonal sections. Here's my challenge. Ready? I need to cut the exact same angle, the exact same elevation, the exact same over direction. This is really, really hard. So if anything, whatever you feel your guideline should be at, go a little bit longer, cut it, and go back and use your fingers and check for symmetry and balance. And since we're working with graduation, you have to check that line at multiple points because we're not cutting a square line in here. Next section, again, elevate it higher and over directed to the exact same point. As I cut the left side, my body position is standing between her nose and shoulder. At this position, it's easier for me to control my section and have my body, i.e. elbows, fingers, comb, scissors, all parallel and in check. And now gradually, as I work progressively towards the back, my body position will also progressively move towards the back. Again, a fluid shape of the cut demands a fluid movement of your body throughout the entire haircut. Okay, increasing elevation, and make sure you're combing that hair super clean from roots to your guideline. If there's any snags, go back and comb that guide cleaner, because those sags in your comb, in the strands of hair, they will represent longer lengths that go beyond that are longer than your guideline. So cutting hair is pretty challenging. Combing hair perfectly is even that much more challenging. But awareness is half the battle. Still over directing, elevating, make visual assessments. Just make sure that that curl is looking consistent and you can see the graduated shape that you're building. So now as I begin working the left portion of the back, curved sections, I'll take a piece of the guideline from the side and I'll match up my fingers and combs to that exact same angle, and I just incorporate the same angle through the back portion of the haircut. I'll have my comb mimic the angle I intend to cut, and the graduation in the back again is from long to shorter, longer in the front, shorter in the back. So here, make sure your elbows are high, fingers are low, fingers aiming towards that opposite shoulder. Just keep on working that initial section until you got it down perfect. Check for balance on the opposite side and make sure the angles and elevation that they're on, that they're consistent. And always work with small, clean, manageable sections. Now remember, through the back, each area will be increasing our elevation. So I'll connect with the sides. My elevation has increased. After I hit this point, I'll take a baby step to the right. Still working off my guideline. And again, I'm cutting a curved shape that goes from high to low, round graduation. Okay, so now our sections are starting to intertwine. So again, that makes our shape to the back that much stronger. Take your next curved section that runs that finishes off at the opposite side. So notice how like my section doesn't stop at the center point, because again, my intention is to interplay these curved, round graduated sections. Increasing elevation, still staying on your guide, and make sure you always have a piece of that side guideline, which will allow you to make sure that you're connecting your shape. In addition, it'll help you to line up that same angle that exists through the sides. And you just work that all the way in through the back. Elbows high, fingers low, and as you work the back portion, move your body along with that curved line. Don't stand at the same point. If you do, chances are very, very high that you will start over-directing way off of what you intend to cut. So again, beginning with a higher elevation, from high to low. Again, remember, we're cutting in a curved shape that goes from high to low. So make sure that your elevation's on, that your fingers start off high and gradually start to tweak in tighter as you work towards the nape area. Because that nape area again is our shortest portion, and we're building up weight through the top. Next curved section, work in small, manageable sections. Yeah, don't get too greedy. Okay, just pivot with the shape you're cutting, and make sure that through the back those sections intertwine. You want that intermixing. Next curved section, this elevation will be even higher. So as I elevate the longer lengths, it will allow them to fall softer. I'm not over directing low. This time my intention is to have a really, really soft, orbital, super geometric shape. I want it to look like a UFO actually. Okay, and now that the back's cut, she has this quirky cowlick on the right side, so I'd rather keep it and work with it. So I'll just go in, I'll take this back slightly asymmetric. Initially I was planning to cut a V shape, but I like working with that cowlick. I'd rather, if I get lemons, I'd rather make lemonade out of it instead of just knocking down that cowlick, because I know that cowlick will grow out really nasty in the future, so I'd rather work with it and blend it into my shapes. That's why through the back I took it asymmetric. Now through the top, I'll grab a piece of the guideline through the sides and the top area, comb the hair up, out, and I'm starting to connect my shape. So next, curve section. Here I'm not over directing the hair backwards. I'm just combing the hair straight out, and I'm pushing it slightly more to the right because of her natural parting. So that will allow me to build a bit more length so that when her hair does fall naturally, I have a geometrical and balanced shape. If I were to comb the hair straight out, it would be quite round to the top. And then with that natural parting, one side would be longer, one side would be shorter. So I'll have to over direct again with each section progressively more to the opposite side as I reach the front hairline. And make sure you always have a piece of that guideline through the sides. Cutting really clean. All these little details, they actually have a major impact on your overall effect. Now through this hairline, I'll comb it with very little tension just to allow for the fineness that exists at that hairline. Okay, and now for the opposite side, it'll be the same technique but without that strong over direction. So I'm just combing the hair straight up. I take a piece of the guideline through the left side, the back, and the right. So next, diagonal section, combing the hair straight out and just cutting off the guideline. And here, again, make sure you're combing the hair super clean from roots to your guide. Okay, still cutting in the same technical manner. And remember, through this hairline, I'm approaching this last section with a lot less tension. Again, to take into consideration the fineness of the hair at that hairline. So for the finish, I'll just go in and diffuse the hair. I use a ton of mousse, some gel, a lot of gloss products. I want the hair to be super shiny. So the mousse is there to hold everything together. The gel is also there because the texture is kind of sticky, so it keeps the curls in place. And that the oils help the hair from becoming over dried. It keeps the hair looking fresh and shiny. And when I diffuse the hair, I don't like messing around with it too much with my hands. I don't like pushing around with it because a lot of times curly hair, if you move it around too much, it'll start to go a bit frizzy. So just be aware of that. I mean, you can touch the hair, but just don't be too obsessive about it. Just going in for a really nice, natural finish. So now that the hair is dry, I'll just push the hair around. And then from natural fall, I'll clean up the shape. So I'm just going back and refining that asymmetric back. Remember, because I wanted to keep that cowlick instead of knocking it down. Because if I knocked it down, I anticipate a week or two, that cowlick, it'll grow out really straight. It'll throw off my shape and it won't look as aesthetically pleasing. So I'd rather keep it and work with it than destroy it, because in the future, as it grows out, it may destroy my back. So again, if you get lemons, flip it around, make lemonade, use your brain. There's always a solution. Just working in these little details. So if my outline is really clean, it'll complement the curl to the top because of that contrast. So if you have clean lines and curly hair, they kind of contrast, so they'll complement each other. Okay, there we have it, our poofy cut. Enjoy.